Hello everyone, welcome to another beer review. And since the last videos I've done, the wife is actually going out and got me some provisions. I think basically she was protecting her spoon. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the previous video I didn't have a bottle opener, so the wife decided to go out and buy me one rather than take the risk of me breaking her spoon and then her having to kind of stab me with the remnants, you know. So she went out and got me one. That is what she got me. She was also kind enough to get me a glass as well, which isn't too bad. So, today we're doing, well actually, it's quite strange actually because this wasn't planned, but we're actually doing a beer from a brewery that we've already done a beer from. We did a hoppy lager from a brewery called NAO, or NAO Lanzarote, so it's a local place. And we're now doing one called Capitan, and it's 5.5%, it's a 330ml bottle, and it's 3 malts. So there you go. Ooh. There's some spill in the back which I can't really read. My Spanish isn't as good. But apparently it's a special beer. It's from an artisanal independent brewery, apparently, and yes, who basically specialise in extra special beers. There you go. That's as best I can come up with, and there you go. So let's. I don't even know how this works actually, but we'll try it. Well, it worked. Doesn't look nice, though, does it? But anyway. So, there we go. Oh shit, there's more stuff in the back. Oh, there's a hell of a lot of piss in the back. There you go. Anyway, it's 5.5%, so at least it's a bit normal. Let's get this poured. There we go. Whew. Looks not too bad, quite dark again. I'm getting slight citrus tones. But light citrus tones, not bad, or, you know, not the grapefruit citrus tones that we all kind of know and love, you know. Get me all whiny about the piney, you know. Yeah, little hints of citrus. How should it taste like? It's bordering, it's trying. It's almost piney at the back end, almost. It's giving me little kind of hints of it, but it hasn't gone the full hog and said, come on, take it. But yeah, it's quite citrusy in the mid-tongue. Ooh, not what I actually kind of planned. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't really say this is a lager. I would say this is, yeah, get more towards a pale ale, and you can see it, and it's not filtered either. You can see little bits floating about in the bottom of it. That I didn't clean the glass particularly well. Not saying I'm the type of guy that would do that, you know. It's okay. It's got an okay mouthfeel. It doesn't have a kind of lager mouthfeel. It does feel to be more of an ale, which is interesting because we've had a couple of kind of ale-like beers. We've had a blonde ale. That was actually more like a triple. But not surprising because the hoppy lager that we did from this brewery before had hints of kind of, was it slightly apricot and passion fruit or something like that? Which was actually, it wasn't too bad actually, it was quite nice. This one obviously is definitely more of your New World hopperoonies in this one, yes. And yeah. Update on where we're staying. I've realised that the Spanish like to kind of sit in groups, I've noticed. And they like to create big kind of tables, so they come into the restaurant and start rearranging the bloody furniture. And the amount of times you're sitting there eating and then people come and say, can I have this seat? What? Can I have this seat? No. Why? Because somebody's sitting in it. And they're looking at you thinking, well, there's nobody sitting in it just now. No, because they're away to get some food. That's what they're doing. And they're going to come back and they expect that the seat that they've actually got off of to still be there. You know, it's a very simple, concept. Yeah. Arseholes. So yeah. Also what I do notice about the Spanish is they go round and they fill the table. So basically, if there's 4 of them at the table, each one will basically get a task to go and do or to cover a certain area of food. So one will go away and basically just get a whole selection of different salad stuff. And they just put that in the middle of the table and just help themselves as and when they need it. Some will go and get a pile of the main courses. So if there's different meats, they will have plates full of different meats. If there's kind of carbohydrates like rice or pasta, then they'll do all that kind of stuff. And then one will go and do the same for the for the sweets. And I thought this was brilliant for the desserts, because one woman, there was a little kind of long kind of plate, kind of long rectangular plate full of little kind of cakes with a raspberry kind of fruit topping in it, things like that. And she kind of looked at it, and then she's looking at the plate that she got in her hand, and then she's looking up at the table, and she's at a pugging it. So what she does is she lifts up the whole blooming kind of how you display plate, puts down her little empty normal portion plate, and then just goes away with the whole blooming plate. And then there's people kind of standing there kind of looking, going, oh well, we'll just wait for more to come out. And it's just unbelievable. So yeah, it's an absolute free-for-all. And you come in, if you come in early, then of course the place is all set out normally. By the time you leave, it's absolute chaos. The furniture's everywhere, you know, it's everywhere apart from basically nailed to the wall and the ceiling. Or if you do come in later, you think this is absolutely chaos, because you can't actually find a table, an empty table with actually chairs on it, because all the chairs are buggered off. So there's all these empty tables everywhere with no seats. You're thinking. And then again, you go to like certain areas and you're like, where's all the food? It's because they've just basically lifted up the display and buggered it. You know, oh, I know we all like this. So instead of me basically filling up a plate, I'll just take the whole bloody tub. You know, it's like that. It's like, it almost feels as if basically food's going out of fashion in Spain. That's what it felt like, you know. Was it official? Food is no longer fashionable, you know. Because trust me, they're eating it as if it is going out of fashion. It's unbelievable. It's just crazy. Oh, and the beers. Oh, for God's sake. You see, I mean, because this is another thing. I couldn't work out how I go past certain tables that I've only got 4 seats on them. Why is there so many glasses on them? It's because they'll go there and they won't just get one glass of drink, whatever, you know, whether it's wine. They'll fill up a tray full of them and then just dump them on the table and they just keep wolfing in. It's like a banquet. That's what it feels like. It's like they can take an all-inclusive and then turn it into their own private kind of, you know, all-you-can-eat buffet at their own table. It's just crazy. It really is. You're thinking it's absolutely crazy. In fact, they remind me in some ways like the Chinese, because I've seen the Chinese, the way they eat and things like that, and some of the things they eat, you think, I don't think I'd ever be that hungry to eat some of the things you do, you know what I mean? Regardless of how tasty they might be. But just the thought of eating certain things that the Chinese eat, you'd be like, no, not for me, Trico, not for me. no matter how good it tastes, I don't think I could get over the kind of psychological kind of side of it, and it feels a bit like that. It's just unbelievable. So it's an education. Every dinner time it's an education, and I spend more time watching around the room than I actually do eating. Due to the fact is, usually by the time I go and fill my plate, there isn't much left to actually fill my plate, and I ain't going to sit there and just hang about until they keep basically replenishing it, because it becomes ridiculous. You know, you've lost so many hours of your evening or your afternoon basically just trying to get a full plate full. Thinking, no. But yeah. Actually not too bad. It's not overly citrus, and it's not that kind of pithy, kind of bitter and sour kind of citrus. It is feel more like a kind of a lighter, maybe bordering on the kind of the juice. So it feels like a little bit kind of like orangey and a little bit of grapefruity, but kind of mixed together, and it just feels a bit lighter. And to be totally honest, it's actually quite nice. It's better than, say, your kind of standard lagers, I would say. Even though we have had some lagers, which I wasn't planning to do any lagers, but because they were higher alcohol content, or there was something a bit different that I hadn't seen in the UK, I thought, well, I was going to cover them, because one was done by Cruz Campos and one was done by San Miguel. I thought, well, I'll do them too, because if, you know, there is people that drink San Miguel in the UK and there's people that drink Cruz Campo. Again, I don't know why anybody would, but they do. So if they come here, they might want to try these kind of different ones than what they drink in the UK. So hence why I thought I'll do them as a review, because they might be helpful. They might not be, but they might be classed as being helpful. But as you can see, that is definitely not a lager. It's an ale. An artisanal brewed ale. You know. Well, yeah, it's actually not too bad. I'll be honest, it's not my first choice, but some of the other lagers, you know, that you can get here, if you go into the kind of standard bars in Lanzarote, you're going to get the usual kind of Spanish lagers, or you're going to get the kind of UK kind of lagers, ciders, and like I said, you get the Guinness as well. And I'll be totally honest, I'd rather go for something like this than any of them. I'll be totally honest. Only because I class this as better than the kind of usual mainstream pisswater offerings, whether it's coming from Spain or it's coming from the UK. So yeah, it's something different. It's something, for me, I would say it's more honest. Might not be my first choice, might not be my kind of favourite style of beer, but it's nicer, it's maybe better ingredients, and for me there's more of an honesty to it. There's not some mass-produced piss water, you know, that's made from, well, questionable ingredients and very questionable processes. So yeah. And at the end of the day, if they're independent and they're a small little brewery, then my view is, if the holiday makers can support them, you know, if you're into your kind of craft IPAs and everything else, well, this is available in every supermarket. So it's easy enough to get over here. So why not support a smaller brewery then, you know? But yeah, it's actually quite nice. So shall we break down these flavours? Starts off with an okay level of malt. I would say, yeah, a kind of slightly, it's definitely kind of some golden syrup tones, and some light caramel tones. But it doesn't taste kind of sweet. I mean, there's a little bit of sweetness there, but you know, sometimes you either get golden syrup kind of tones that makes it feel like there's added sugar to it, or you can get basically a golden syrup tones that are just kind of a slightly lighter edge to the kind of light caramel. So it just feels like, yeah, it feels there's some different types of malts there, and you are getting some slightly different layers of malty flavours. And that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like inverted sugar, kind of syrupy, kind of golden syrup, you know, which doesn't feel connected to anything or any other ingredients that's there. And there's a bit of grain there as well. A little bit of sweetness, but not much. But yeah, so I'd say quite a good level of malt. And they're claiming that there's 3 types of malt in there. Mouthfeel, like I say, it's just quite nice. It's on the button. You can see the type of head you're getting with it and everything else and things like that. So, and yeah, moves on to the mid-tongue. Just as it kind of moves on to the mid-tongue, you just get a little hint of citrus just in the kind of transfer over. And then it builds on that. You start to get a little bit more developed citrus flavour. And like I say, it feels like the flavours are slightly split. So you've got a slightly bit more bitter side to it, but still quite light, and it feels like more of a kind of a grapefruit kind of juice edge. And then the other side has got a little bit of sweetness to that kind of citrus edge, and it feels more like a kind of an orange or a blood orange or something like that. So the two kind of work kind of well together. And my first mouthful, I was just getting, that was kind of skirting around. You were getting the feeling of pininess, and it was like kind of skirting around the edges, and I was waiting for it to kind of build up, but it didn't really develop. But you just felt there was a little bit there, but it didn't actually come to anything. And now obviously as the mouth got acclimatized, I'm not really even noticing that now. So yeah, and for me, well, if there's no pininess, then suddenly the citrus edge becomes a bit more palatable, you know. So, what would I give this out of 10? It's actually quite nice. And while Sloppy Dave has turned around and says I'd be struggling to find an okay beer, I found a couple of okay beers. And even though in Spanish they're called beers, they're actually ales, and I was quite surprised to actually find some without really having to look very hard, I'll be totally honest. I thought I'd have to kind of maybe try and go to some more obscure places to maybe try and find something better. And I was kind of working on the basis, well, if I can't, then I won't, you know, I'm not going to keep pushing too hard. I mean, if I have to really go in search of them, then there's not really much point in doing the review, because how many holidaymakers, when they're over here, are going to do the same? If I can go to normal places and buy them and they're available, then fine. If they're too obscure that you have to do, you know, a manhunt for them, then I don't see the point in reviewing them then, because at the end of the day, the majority of people will never get the chance to purchase them, because they're just not going to go to them lengths. They're here on holiday, nip round to the local supermarket and get some beers. Oh, there's some different ones I've not seen before. I'll maybe get a couple of them to try, that type of thing. Or if they actually watch my reviews and think, oh, he's reviewed a couple of these beers, I'll maybe try them when I'm over, you know, that type of thing. Well, that's supposed to be the kind of plan. Might not work out that way, not my problem. So, out of 10, what would I give this? It's actually quite nice. It's something a wee bit different. But definitely a craft beer. Would I call it an IPA? Probably not. I would say it's hoppy enough, but not overly hoppy. Again, it's more controlled. It's not hopped off its tits, which is quite good. I would say it's more of a pale ale with a bit of New World hops through it. Yeah, it's actually not too bad. So of course this won't be in the lager scale. This will be actually on the normal beer stroke ale scale. And yeah, it's actually quite nice. So I'm going to give it 5.5. I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10. It's actually quite nice, and yeah, I would definitely kind of recommend it. It's naobeer.com if you want any more details. I'll put what I can down, but yeah, it's made in Lanzarote, so yeah, fair play to them. And yeah, and it's called Capitan. It's 5.5%, 330ml bottle, 5.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.